Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webcast. My name is Mike Otranto, and I'm a strategic account specialist at Wicresoft. I'm also joined on today's webcast with Tad Haas, who leads as a product manager, and Matt Wiley, a product guru and technology expert. Today, we'll focus on the rise of the customer, energizing professional service organizations. After the webinar, you will receive an email with a copy of the recording and the slide deck so you can review. The line will not be open for questions, but you can type in your questions via the chat feature. I will now hand off the webcast to Tad Haas. Tad?
Good morning, Mike, and thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Matthew as well. So we have a full hour of content today between a couple of slides for introduction, actually a set of content about introducing Dynamics 365, a little bit about the market and the capabilities. And then we'll dive into, really for the second half, a full demonstration to show you the functionality and give you an idea of how you can apply this type of technology into your organization and help address the issues around the rise of the customer. Before we dive in detail, let's go ahead and learn a little bit about Wicresoft. Our company is a joint venture with Microsoft, which was founded in 2002. We do have a global footprint and happy to help our customers throughout the globe, in North America, throughout the US here. We provide services in consulting, business process managed services, and of course, staffing, and more importantly, in this particular case, deployment services and strategies around technology and software. We are a triple gold certified partner. That makes us part of less than 2% of the partners in the world that are responsible for deploying Microsoft software. We're very client focused, have a proven track record in many industries, and are definitely passionate about technology, as you'll see today. We really provide our services in a core set of capabilities off of the Dynamics 365 and the Office 365 platforms, specializing in the areas around professional services automation, project portfolio management, scaled agile in terms of deployment, ALM, Visual Studio, and things like that. And of course, the enterprise work management deployed through and used in SharePoint. Many of our customers and organizations today are leveraging the Microsoft Power BI platform to get value out of all together as well. So let's jump right in. When we talk about the rise of the customer, we are talking about this next major shift. Of course, all of our organizations have come up and working with the age of information, and as technology specialists and folks that are savvy in these areas, we live with information and PCs and connected systems all the time. But what's changing now is that through this information, customers are becoming empowered buyers. They're demanding a new level of customer experience. They're demanding a new level of capability that your organizations need to deliver. And you need to deliver that today, both in terms of services, which we'll be talking about today, and products. How do your organizations go through and manage the products and services that give your customers the best possible experience? So that's where we'll spend the majority of our time today. If we take a step back and observe the market for a little bit, I think it's important to understand through surveys and other data that our customer expectations are growing dramatically. While today price and products are key primary drivers, by 2020 customer experience will be the key product differentiator and brand differentiator for your customers. It's a whole new world where the customers have control. Having a deep understanding of your customers and being able to create compelling experiences by delivering projects on time, at the right price, meeting your customer expectations is a key part of that. When we talk about productivity, this statistic, of course, is seen in a variety of different ways, but 40% of workers' productive time is lost when switching between tasks. What this means is that today, more than ever, organizations are looking to embed productivity tools directly into their business processes to save time, to reduce task switching, and provide more capabilities for productive end users. And then, of course, the speed of business today. We all know this. We feel these pressures daily in the work that we do. But organizations are now beginning to embrace this concept of digital transformation. They're beginning to go through and understand that by going through and accelerating their pace, they can improve. In fact, the organizations, the leading organizations today that are making these digital transformations or going through and making these changes are now starting to see an 8% increase in their profit margin. That's a direct and tangible outcome for digital transformation. So what does this really mean, this notion of digital transformation? Well, of course, digital transformation is not simply about technology. It's really more about a business strategy that requires leaders to re-envision existing business processes, models, and embrace a different way of bringing people, data, and processes together that create value for their customers and capture the new opportunities for organizations. Of course, engaging with our customers is critical for this success, but if we're going to improve productivity, we have to empower our employees. Optimizing operations and then transforming our products again through projects is a great way to begin the process of digital transformation. So, organizations can grow and evolve and meet changing requirements with these customers as they go through and look for intelligent business applications. And that's where the Microsoft Dynamics platform comes into play. When we look at these things, today often there's these silos of information for CRM where we keep information about our customers, and ERP where we keep operational data or things around internal resources and skill sets and projects and all of that. What we really want to do is go through and bring these two together so that we can have a more integrated scenario with the intelligent business applications. And that's really what Dynamics 365 is all about. It's this ability to harness the power of one Microsoft. It's allowing organizations to adopt individual business apps, such as sales, such as service, such as operations, such as project management, etc., and bring them together into a cohesive whole. We're really going to spend our time now talking about project service automation, and that's where we'll have our focus today as we go through and spend the rest of our time. But understand, Microsoft Dynamics 365 is so much more than that. Many of your organizations today are already using CRM. Some of your organizations are going through and using the tools for customer service and might be using the ERP modules and now beginning to take advantage of field service. This is a great up-and-coming area that allows us to tie even more operational and project management excellence together. So what is the advantage of Dynamics 365 specifically? Well, of course, the applications are purpose-built. They're designed and built to give you the best of breed capability through each of the core capabilities. And whether that's Microsoft CRM, whether that's project service automation or field service automation, these give you the abilities to go through and work with those products as best of breed. But of course, because they're familiar tools, because they're operated inside of the Office platform, you have the maximum productivity on those because of seamlessly integrating familiar tools. Integration with things like Outlook and Excel. They really help you understand the context of the business processes and execute these things better together. Intelligence, all of our world today is operating more and more on data, and whether we're using machine learning, whether we're using traditional business intelligence or operational reporting, these are things that we really need to focus on for executing deliverables to the teams, to customers, and all the stakeholders involved. We won't dive into the deep parts of this today, but a big key deliverable around Dynamics 365 is that it is a customizable, it's a platform that allows you to grow and transform. It integrates with the rest of the Office 365 and the Dynamics 365 platforms so that we can go through and use Power Apps or Flow or Power BI to go through and make these things work better together. So let's dive a little deeper and now talk specifically about what we want to focus on here with project service automation. We want to be able to go through and recognize that project service automation is part of the bigger whole, but works together with the applications we've just talked about in terms of the Internet of Things, Power BI, etc. And when we dive into that, we start to think about projects. And in a professional services organization, you live and die by your projects. If you deliver on time, on budget, your organization is making money. If you don't, you're not. But let's broaden the conversation a little bit and recognize that organizations have projects and facilities. There's projects for product development and R&D. Many organizations are using project and portfolio management and project service automation to go through and improve their processes around IT delivery. How are we going through and doing large tax projects? All the things involved. So whether you think about particular businesses or whether you think about particular areas inside of your organization, think broadly in projects and project service automation. We'll focus now specifically on some of the capabilities as they deliver to the project service organization, as we want to go through and think about ways we can better deliver the consulting services, the product deployments, and all the rest of the services that we're doing today in this modern way. So what does it really look like? If we think about the capability map and we think about what project and work management provides in the organization, these are some of the key capabilities required. Everything from demand management, resource staffing, collaboration, time and expense, all the way through customer billing and analytics. Service analytics helping us understand, are we making money on projects? Are we going to deliver on time? And are we going to do so profitably, for example? Being able to understand what your customer needs and give it to them in the time frames that they require is pretty important in this world today. So let's talk a little bit more about now then what that means from the product side of things and how we begin to work with this. In organizations today, you might be using a service portal, a customer service portal, to integrate tightly with the organizations you provide services and products for. This is a great way to get their feedback directly and help demand come into the organization. I need a break fix. I've got a product idea. I've got a services idea, dear vendor, help me with this, and let's go from there. But we also think of a more traditional way, and this is where CRM, whether it's dynamic CRM or things like Salesforce or other tools, we want to be able to bring those sales opportunities into the pipeline for project and work management. So that's a big part here. When we talk about project planning, there's all kinds of different levels of detail. How much detail, how many tasks, what kind of work breakdown structure are you using? Are they big projects, little projects? What level of detail is required? What rigor is required? And so project planning can happen directly inside the Dynamics 365 world, or you can integrate directly with Microsoft Project. This is part of the unique capability that Microsoft brings to the table, again, integrated and better together. When we start to think about resource management, do we have a consistent way of defining our resources across the organization, so that when we talk about a resource in one area, we also are being able to go through and allocate that resource perhaps for field service if they're going out to solve a break fix problem versus a heavy consulting exercise. Team collaboration, of course, means Office 365, means SharePoint, means all the things that go along with the traditional Microsoft collaboration platform. And rest assured that as we go through and talk about the products and demo the products, that's exactly what you'll see. Things like Exchange for calendar management and integration and time and expense. Really powerful in that way of better together. If we're looking at operations, whether it's on the Microsoft platform or integration to other ERPs, this is something that people are delivering or experiencing today. And of course, customer service, analytics, and then reporting across the whole stack. How do we go through and use a consistent way of viewing success, managing, and being able to optimize our delivery for our customers? These are important things that are delivered today and leveraged inside of Power BI. And Matthew will show some of that during the demonstration, but if you haven't played with Power BI yet, make sure that you do. It's a super tool across the spectrum of capabilities. So let's talk about the ability for professional services to automate and really go through with this notion of delivering opportunity management, contract management, project labor, and all the things that we've really talked about before. It's the goal of assisting your professional services organization with the project and resource management that will help ensure success for client projects. A typical definition for professional services automation that we're delivering today through the Microsoft Project Service Automation. The economy and the way that we work inside of these industries is changing. You now have a globalized workforce, people that are working really across geographies, across time zones. Systems really help in being able to go through and deal with those kind of things. Being able to say, of course, what is predictable, what are we really going to deliver, and being accountable for your services and the spend that you're doing on that is super important. More and more and more organizations are being required to do services projects at a fixed fee or time. You're now held accountable with those fixed fees. Your ability to deliver on time or on schedule with the paid for resources is super important for your ability to make money. Many of the organizations we talk to today are using spreadsheets and email as a way of going through this. Some organizations have gone through today and use SharePoint as a way to centralize collaboration, and that's a great step. Today, the demonstration will show you how you can take the next step in perhaps a crawl, walk, run scenario that allows you to move your organization forward. But what's the benefit of moving the organization forward? Or more importantly, what's the opportunity lost or cost for not doing that? If you continue with disconnected systems or disconnected processes, over time, you're going to have slower response times. You're going to have lower engagement with your customers. You're going to have, less consistent processes that really help you accelerate bringing things to market or being able to engage with your customers. Today, with millennials in our workforce, we need to have the best tools or we face the problem of high turnover. And that really matters in a consulting organization as we go through and try to provide the best services and products for our teams. So these are just some of the costs by staying in status quo. If we look at it a little bit more from a process-driven or a maturity sort of way, let's think about it here as we begin to deal with the notion that organizations today go through levels of maturity. And this is a maturity model that's put together. It's a benchmark study, certainly can give you more of the information. It comes from the SBI research and tells us where we are. So if you are in the bottom part of this organization where you have some functional excellence, then you are not making nearly as much money as people in the top organizations, because people at level 4 and level 5 are making significantly higher profit because they have at level 4 really what is one view of the operations inside of the business. That includes projects, that includes resources, that includes operations, and being able to have that one view and focus across these functions is super critical. To break it down a little bit further through the study that was provided, you can begin to see that things like your bid to win ratio goes up, your billing utilization, which of course is the holy grail inside of our services businesses, increases dramatically. If we're down in the lower part of this maturity versus where we are in the higher levels, of course, we're hitting those targets, we're exceeding the thresholds that the organization needs to be billable, to provide the right level of profit margin, and be in a happy place about these things, right? We will provide these slides so you'll have those statistics as a reference point later on. Before we jump into the demo, I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking more about the transformative services that project service automation can provide, and talk a little bit about the roles and the value that comes to each participant. Whether I'm the practice director or I'm an account manager that's involved out using the CRM, I'm the project and resource managers that are designed with day-to-day operations and execution of these plans, or the team member that's out in the field trying to update a timesheet, pick his next project, or provide the best collaboration with their team members. And of course, let's not forget about the end user customer. How do we engage them? Are we using reports? Are we going through and giving timely update? What do we do to communicate status, and just go through and stay close with our customers. When we look at demand management all the way through the analytics, we start to see how the product delivered in the cloud across a global platform in a mobile way gives your organization the possibility to provide value for each of these stakeholders. When we talk about project service, we also want to talk about the ability to go through and address a whole spectrum of functionality that can be provided through Dynamics 365 by itself, or better together with projects. So you might be using project on the desktop or project online. Some of the things really around prioritization, around some of the functionality there, allows us to use these better together. Dynamics 365, of course, provides the notions around project contracts, around multiple rates, around the notions of things like customer billing. These are things that project doesn't do. And so we want to be able to take advantage of the best of both. And your organization can do exactly that. So let's look a little bit so we can get an overview before Matthew jumps into the demo. When we start to talk about this notion of customer support centers, hopefully your customers are engaging with you in these type of portals or in a mobile way, so you can go through and start to get their feedback in a self-service way. Hey, I've got a break-fix scenario that might actually lead to a project that might allow us to bring a new idea into our portfolio to see should we do this and what would be the value of proceeding with that work. But of course, we already talked about demand management coming in from CRM. This is important as we get new opportunities and your field sellers are out engaging with customers, creating opportunities, putting together bids and proposals that we also want to bring into the hopper and compare and contrast against work that's in flight. We want to be able then to look at those opportunities, understand where they are in the workflow and the process. You know, are they near 80% and are at close ratio, so we better start ramping up the consultants, or are these things that we're just talking about with customers in the scenario? Being able to have those workflows are important to organizational success and your ability to see what's coming. Portfolio management is the ability then to go through and do trade-off analysis. Are the projects or are the customers that we're servicing the right mix? Now, if you're doing customer work and they've paid for it, obviously you're doing the project and you jump right in. But what happens when you have to do a trade-off between work that's internal versus work that's external? This is where you have to start making some decisions around where should I apply my resources and what's the maximum value I can get from my project portfolio. And when we talk about maximum value, we are of course talking about financial as well. How do we go through and understand where the dollars are being allocated, where the dollars are being spent, and the exact deliverables and outcomes that we need from that? Traditional. People today, however, are the true resource. This is the area where we need to maximize the most. By being able to go through and understand resource availability and resource utilization, understand the demand being requested of my specific skill set, so then I can see what their workload is across projects and across the organization, allows me to get true line of sight for delivery, for value, and for cost. Most of your organizations today are using a spreadsheet. So when you look at the screenshot on the left-hand side, gee, it looks an awful lot like a spreadsheet, but now with more color coding, more visuals for my resources, deeper in the understanding of skill sets and availability. That's the value of taking a step towards project service automation. And project management. Many of your organizations today are already using Microsoft Project. That's great. You can continue to do exactly that. Or if you want to go through and use a lightweight, web-driven scheduling online planner, that's built into project service automation. It allows you to go through and do the right level of detail there, or more rigor for larger projects where project is requested, required, or the right tool for the right job. Collaboration, huge part of project management and critical to our success. So in this case, whether we're using Office 365 groups, integrating into Outlook, or using our traditional SharePoint document storage and integration. These are all part of the functionality that Project Service Automation provides and lets people work better together from, really one version of the documents, one version of the collaboration, inline conversations, chats, and all the modern ways we think about collaborating. Risks and issues, a traditional project management functionality Matthew will go through and demo and show more of, but this is part of that capability that we can provide for you in the area around project management. Time and expense management, of course, is critical, and whether we're going through and using our timesheets and we're doing expense reports that allow us to go through and bill customers, or stay right on top of the actual dollars, or integrate inside of our Outlook world so that we can see our calendars from there. This is all part of that time and expense management functionality. In analytics, integration, reporting, these types of views are best left for the demo, so we'll go through and do that. But what I do want to focus this on is the ability to go through and look at things by customer. So if we look at customer A, B, C, and D, we now think of Project Service Automation as being very customer focused. Our projects are being delivered for specific customers, for specific value, and all of the spin that we want to put on the data, on the views, on the analytics should be customer focused first, and then looking internally second to provide the type of value that we need. With that, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Matthew Willey to give you a deeper dive and look at it through the specific demonstration, and we'll come back to answer some other questions and give you some resources at the end.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Tad. All right, so I'm logged in here into Dynamics 365. And as you can see, there are many different capabilities within Dynamics 365 that are all around this notion of dealing with a customer, working with our customers all the way from start to finish. So up front, we have marketing capabilities, and then we get into sales, leads turn into opportunities. And from there, those opportunities, if they get, if they're won, then there are different projects we now need to do. We need to deliver these products and services and such to our customers. If we have people out in the field and servicing that, we can send those people out and schedule them and get them in the right places. Resource scheduling across all this, as at some point we would transition our customers to more of a support model, and so there's service management. And then through this whole process, we can get the voice of the customer, really feedback and surveys and such on what's going on. These aren't all the modules and capabilities within Dynamics 365, but there are many of the core ones that are going to allow you to manage that customer all the way from beginning, getting new customers, all the way to servicing them all the way through. As Tad mentioned, though, today we're going to focus specifically in the project service area of this particular product. So where our start really starts is really around opportunities. So let's say I'm an account executive and I'm working on lots of different opportunities on a day-to-day basis, and I'm trying to win these opportunities so that we have more business for our organization, get more customers and or expand into our existing customers. And so I can come in and go into one of my opportunities here, and I might be working on this, and I might be putting together different quotes, and you can do that right through the system here, build those different quotes for different amounts and break that out into the services and the products and so on and so forth, and have all the other information that you need to track around these customers and contacts and so on and so forth. But as I'm working on this, at some point, I may win this opportunity, and if so, I'll mark it as closed won. And what that does is it kind of moves the workflow on to the next stage, and it will kick off a project if we want it to do so. And so that gets me here over into the projects area. And so this really connects, our sales organization to our delivery part of the organization, the people actually doing the work, delivering the products and services to our customers. It creates a connection there so that the services team is going to get more visibility into the pipeline of the things that are coming down the line, so we can make sure we have our resources in order, so on and so forth. Some people even choose to, instead of waiting till close one, when it gets to contracts, have it kick off a project so we can start planning and staffing and so on, on our project there. So it really helps tie it together that way, and then I'll show how it goes back the other way in just a second. So now we get over here, and I'll go into one of my projects. These are all my different projects here that I have going on right now, and we have some basic status information and start dates and whatever other information we want to be able to see in the different views in here. And I'll go into one of these projects, like my Chic CRM implementation project here. And this is where I'd really go and start planning. But before I do that, I may want to take a look at the contract, which came from that quote that I was talking about. So I could go take a peek at that, see what was actually sold, have an easy way to get all the information I need to start figuring out, what types of resources we need and how are we going to get this done within the time period, and so on and so forth. So one of the very first things I might do is go build out my work breakdown structure, or my project schedule, if you want to call it that. So there's an online planner right within Dynamics 365 that allows me to create different phases or stages and break those down into more detailed tasks or deliverables. And I can edit this. It's all editable right through here, and make all the different updates I might want to make. But if you choose to do so, you could also open this up in Microsoft Project, and you could build things out there. And there's a connection between Microsoft Project and Dynamics Project Service that allows me to then pull information from Dynamics as well as publish these project schedules back. So you have some choices there on what you want to use. I should point out as well that there's an integration to Visual Studio Team Services and possibly other applications, so that you could do more agile type planning if you wanted to do so as well, and have that information flow back in if necessary. So from there, I could build out my high level plan, and I generally would start with generic roles. So I know that I'm going to need a developer, I'm going to need a technician, I'm going to need, so on and so forth. And from there, I can say I want to generate my project team. And so it's going to kind of roll up my schedule for me and create a list of all the different people and or types of people that I'm going to need for my project. From there, we could take these requests and we can, for specific people and or types of people from this date to this date for this many hours. And I could submit that request, and it would go to the proper resource manager, and they could go and then look for who's available with the right skill set and such. Or if you don't have dedicated resource managers in your organization, you could go out yourself and go find it. Either way, it looks the same and it works the same, just depends on what permissions you give people and how you want that process to work. So I could come in and go, okay, I need a generic developer, and I could be a resource manager or a project manager, depending on how you want that to work. And I'm going to say I want to go find that resource. And so I said hard book there, and it's going to go and it's going to look out into our resource pool. And so these are all of our different developers, because I was looking for a developer on that last screen is what was specified. And so it already filters down and is just showing me developers, and I can see who's available and who's not. If they're red within a particular period of time, then they're not available. If I want to see which projects they're working on, I can expand into that and see where that where that demand is coming from, the other projects that they're set to work on. But I can also do other things. Maybe if I need a specific skill set, like I need a .NET developer specifically, I can hit apply and it'll filter down, and now I'm just looking at my .NET developers, and I can figure out who's available, who's not, and then simply select that person and hit book, and that's going to then staff them onto my project. There's other cool information in here too. If I hover over one of these people, it shows me their different skill sets, how available they are within that period of time, what's their target utilization, their costs. So when we're making these decisions about which resources should work on which projects, we can take into account lots of different pieces of information. The cost of the resources, their skill set, their location, their role, whatever it might be, lots of different attributes, and make sure that we're picking the right ones for the right projects, and utilizing our resources properly. So from there, now that I have resources staffed to my project, team members are going to log into the system. They're going to get notified, and they're going to be able to log into the system and see everything that they're supposed to be working on, as well as at the end of the week, they may go and fill out a timesheet. And so flipping to more of my team member view of things, I can come in and I can go into my bookings and tasks, and I'd be able to update my status on my tasks there and look at and see what projects I've been booked on, what I'm supposed to be working on. There's a time entries area in here, which is what we're looking at right now. So you can see more of a calendar view of your time, and if you need to add things in, you just come here and say, okay, I worked on this project, on this task, if there is a task, so on and so forth, save, and you can put that in your timesheet. You can also actually import your time from your Outlook calendar. So if you have a lot of meetings and things already booked in your Outlook calendar, I can just import that in to give me a starting place, so I don't have to, excuse me, manually go and put in all of this time. There's also more of a traditional grid type of a format, more traditional timesheet view if you want to look at it that way. And there's even a mobile app for this. So if you're on your phone and it's Friday and you left the office and you forgot to put your time in, you can do it right from your phone or your tablet or whatever it might be as well. So it makes it really quick and easy for people to get in their time, which is all going to, and status, which is all then going to flow back to the project. There's also an expenses module in here as well. So if people need to be able to track their expenses and attach receipts and have that flow back into the project, so we understand the total cost as well as what we need to bill the customer, you can do that as well. So as people are doing that, there's an approvals area. I can go in and approve those items to come back in. And then I can then come into my project status dashboard, if you want to call it that. And as a project manager, I can see all these things flowing back into my project and keep track of where we're at from a budget perspective, budgeted hours as well as cost and revenue and so on and so forth. So what we're looking at here is we're now more in a later stage of our project. We're starting to execute and or monitor and control our project. We're in the midst of this project happening now. And you can see we initially estimated 270 hours of work. We've actually spent about 80. Here's how many's remaining, so on and so forth. And we can see that progress percentage bar going up as we get more things done. Then from a cost perspective, we estimated we were going to spend this much money. Here's what we've actually spent. Here's what's remaining. And we can start to figure out where we're at there. Hopefully, we are making more progress than we're spending. If we've spent, 75% of our money and we've only made 25% progress, there's probably a problem going on here. We're probably going to end up going over budget. So we need to, be able to get visibility into that sooner than later. And all the other information you might want to track around a project is here if you ever need to update that or see what's going on, anything like that. Into more of the status of a project, we can also put in narrative type status. So it's not all just data, numbers, and such. We can put in text saying, what was the work performed this period? What work is planned next period? And any other comments that we might have around the status, which is going to roll into our status reports that we can deliver to either our customer or other stakeholders or just internally, or a mixture of. Maybe internally you have a little bit more detailed information, whereas externally you just give customers the information that they care about. But we can feed different pieces of this to the right groups of people as needed. I can also track things like risks and issues and changes. And if a risk happens or a risk is realized, then there's a workflow that allows me to convert that risk into an issue, so I don't have to go manually create it, and it ties those things together. And then if in order to resolve this issue, I need a change, whether that might be a schedule change or a scope change or other types of changes, I can convert that issue actually into a change as well, and we can have an approval process around those changes. If they are change requests that would possibly result us getting more money, then that will actually be able to flow back into the opportunities, so that account executive who's working on this account can see that, get visibility into that, and understand, okay, here's another opportunity for me to go get this change order and then help to grow this customer and drive more business as they ask for more things. So it really helps to connect it together that way. And I can even see a history of my status reports over time with kind of a snapshot of what was happening. So I can see if things are getting better, things are getting worse, so on and so forth. And you can have charts inline, other charts. These ones are showing us our cost performance by role. Certain roles may be doing better than other, meaning developers or business analysts or so on and so forth, as well as our project tasks per role, how we're doing on that perspective. Are they getting the work done that they're supposed to be getting done? Where do we have problems? So on and so forth. So this is kind of my dashboard, my cockpit, where I can come and see everything that's going on with my project, and then I can access other information as needed through the different options here. For example, as we're working on this project, there may be lots of different documents and discussions going on, and we may want to track a calendar of events and really start to communicate and collaborate and work on this project all together. As Tad mentioned earlier, there's integration, very tight integration with Office 365 groups. And so what that means is every time you go in and create a new project, we can have it automatically create an Office 365 group. And within that Office 365 group, we can show all those different calendar items, the conversations going on. I have a OneNote notebook in here that I can keep all of my notes in when we have, status meetings and such, documents, etc. So it really gives me a nice collaborative place, and I don't have to like leave and go to Office 365 groups. I can actually pull that all up right in line here and be able to do everything I need to do from a collaboration, document management, et cetera perspective, all right here. So as those projects are going on, we really, as Tad mentioned, can roll that back to a customer-centric type of a view. And so if I now go into my customers, let's say I'm more of a practice manager or I'm an account manager, someone who owns a lot of different customers and want to understand how we're doing, not just at the project by project level, but at the customer level as a whole, can come into these customer types of views as well as reports that I'll show in a little bit. To be able to see what's going on across that customer as a whole. For example, Active Transport Inc. has 2 open opportunities. The value of those opportunities are about $155,000. We have 4 active projects going on with them right now. 3 of those projects are at risk. That's not good. We need to look into that and figure out why they're at risk and how we can get those things back on track so we can win some more of these opportunities, right? We've estimated that the projects that are going on are about $427,000. So far, we've invoiced about $44,000 of that, and there's 2 active open issues. And if they're using the support module, you can even see the open support requests or cases, as they're called in here, that are coming in. So we can really get that full view, and if I click into a customer, I can get even more detailed information, like maybe I want to see what those opportunities are, see what those issues are, so on, and the projects that are going on, and get more detailed information. I can come into the form here, and I can start to really drill into all that is going on. So here are all of those different projects that are going on for the account, and I can get more detailed information. If I click on that, it'll give me all the project information if I want more. So I can really drill in and see the different issues for this customer across those different projects, the open change requests, the risks, opportunities, it's all here. It gives me one picture of my customer, and that alone can help drive a lot of value and really help to, affect your bottom line, get you into that higher maturity level that Tad was talking about, to get you better, return on investment and margins, so on and so forth. So from there, I can also look at a variety of different reports. And so Dynamics 365 has a lot of reporting capabilities built right into it so that you can do some basic reports right from your different views and such, as well as if you're looking for some more robust interactive types of reports, then you can also leverage the capabilities of Power BI. And so we can do lots of different reports and show things like total revenues over time and gross margin over time and cost variance. These are kind of more financially focused types of reports. But we can also do just generic, project status reports and things like that as well. So if I switch here, I'll go into more of my project portfolio status report. We can see some things going on, and if I click on any one of those visuals there, it'll actually drill in and then let me be a little bit more analytical. I can start to use the different filters and go through the different tabs and start to really drill into just the data that I want to see. So this particular report is showing me all of the different projects that are going on right now, the status of those projects, and I can see 3 of them are at risk. 14 are over budget, 16 are behind schedule. We have some active risks, some overdue issues. And we can use filters then, though, to go and filter this down and just look at the projects we want to look at. I only want to see projects, let's say, where overall health is either red or yellow, just my problem projects, the ones that are having some issues. Or maybe I just want to look at a certain type of projects or for a certain customer, however I want to filter that down. From there, if I'm looking for more detailed information on all of the different types of status, like say schedule status, I can utilize the tabs across the bottom to see, okay, here are all of my projects, same projects I was just looking at, but I'm seeing more schedule related information, like duration variance. How far off are we from what we initially estimated we were going to be? I can get into cost information, budgets versus actual costs and what's remaining. I can do costs over time if you're looking for more time phase types of data. I can come in and see it that way. And I can even drill in and drill out to many of these different visualizations. For example, here, if I'm looking at budget versus actual cost by quarter, if I come and I click into Q4, it'll drill in and show me October, November, December. So we can start at a higher level, kind of get that overview, executive summary type dashboards, but drill all the way down into the details if we want. From a work perspective, I can come in and I can see the different types of work and, work versus actual work, remaining work, so on and so forth, and get, my visibility into all that, and even down into the more detailed risks and issues. So there's a full report pack out of the box that we can take advantage of to allow us to get, visibility into all the different types of things we might want. Another area we might want is around resource status and resource availability. And so I can come in and I can check out that as well if I choose to do so. So lots of different reporting options within here that are going to allow me to look at these things in many different ways. So one thing I wanted to say real quick is, you get that full picture of everything that's going on and all of the different, reports and visibility into all the different aspects of resources and projects and financials and so on and so forth across everything that's going on across all these different customers. And that, is a very, very powerful statement. But Dynamics 365 is always adding new features, adding new capabilities. There are new releases all the time. And since this is in the cloud, you're able to just get those new capabilities as they come out. And so some new capabilities that are out now, for some coming out in the near future, depending on what tenants you're on and what, if you take all the kind of pre-release things. But what's coming out in the very new future and or has been released to date, depending on where you are, is a whole new look and feel for the UI. So this is, for example, the different opportunities that I'm looking at. And I can come in and I can click into an opportunity. Notice the look and feel is a little bit more modern, nice, kind of laid out. These pages are all mobile enabled as well, so on and so forth. So, there's always new features. There's always new options coming out and capabilities and being improved over time. And so I just wanted to make sure I touched on that a little bit as well and showed some of the new things. So hopefully you can see how you can use this to manage your customers all the way from start to finish, or any particular piece in the middle if you choose just to use certain modules. We always recommend phased implementation. So you may start out just using one or more of these capabilities, and then over time you can grow into other ones if and when it makes sense. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back to Tad for just a couple more slides, and then we'll let you guys go for the day. So there you go, Tad. Switch that over to you.
Thank you very much, Matthew. That was terrific. I wanted to say that I think you ended on the perfect screen, because I wanted to highlight three of the things that you demonstrated today. One is the workflows and being able to support the business processes. So as organizations are looking to improve and get all of the participants heading in the same direction for successful delivery, workflows are a great way to be able to go through and do that. When you're diving into the requests and bookings for resources, you demonstrated some very powerful capability. And that's important because in that way, you really hit one of the key pain points for most organizations: how to do more with less in regards to people. It's always the challenge we have to get the best productivity, the best delivery through the skilled and scarce resources that we have in our organizations. And of course, the pictures you started with and ended with around reporting help us really share that message, both to our customers and to the participants, the stakeholders, and the executives on our teams. So I think workflows, resource management, and reporting were pretty powerful ways to deliver the message around what the product is capable of doing. As we wrap up here, I think I'd like to leave you with a couple of core messages, and really they all fundamentally come around this capability of being able to maximize the return, reduce the risk, and provide your organization through a common Microsoft platform. And that being able to leverage the things that you already own, like Office 365, being able to take advantage of the Dynamics 365 and CRM and things that you have in place in the market there today, using this common platform for collaboration and for reporting, really provides benefit that is hard to find and really isn't provided anywhere else. That this common platform allows you to get the most from your people quickly. We're also seeing our customers go through and retire other multiple point solutions that aren't integrated, being able to then provide cost savings and ROI that of course justify the spend around Dynamics 365, but perhaps even more importantly, simplify the process for your customer or for your users, for your customers and all of the people involved in the process together. With that, we'd like to thank you very much for your time today, both for those of you that have joined online and those of you that will join on YouTube later. We do want to make a couple of special offers that focus on assessments and road mapping. Wicresoft is very good at helping you see the vision of where these products and these technologies and these processes can take you. And we'd like to help you in that journey through a trial or through roadmaps or these type of assessments or one-on-one live demos. Feel free to reach out to Mike and the team at our nasales@wicresoft.com. And then if you have any specific questions to follow up today as well, Matthew and I can be found at our email addresses here, or perhaps most useful, if you visit our webinar page and our projectservice.com site, you'll be able to go through and do some self-study on your own. With that, I'd like to thank you very much, and we will be providing a link to the recording so you can share with other participants. Thank you for joining.